WhiskyJason here, whiskey from the viewpoint of an American over here in Germany, often tasting rare and exotic whiskeys. Today I have the Four Roses Limited Edition 2023 version here with 54% ABV. So, limited edition, small batch, barrel strength, 2023 edition, Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey. Interesting enough, this bottle does not often reach Germany, but it does reach the Netherlands. So for the last couple of years, I think I've bought my Four Roses limited edition always in Netherlands. This year, just like in America, there was a 20 or 10% price increase. It went from $180 up to $200. Recommended retail price over here. Last year I paid 200 euros. Now I'm going to pay 220. 19 euros, so 19 euros more. That's okay. All right. So there are a couple little things that I think are amazing. The first thing, the handwriting on each and every bottle. All right. So if you have an American bottle, you will have a different number. So we have 700 milliliter bottles over here in Europe, and therefore we have 4,950 of those bottles. I have bottle number 1554. In the States, if I look at the bottle here, you have 15,600. So there must be from the writing, I'm going to say there's a lady, and her job is, maybe there's 2 or 4 or how many ever ladies there are, is to write on each and every individual 20,000 of these bottles a number in the right order. Hey, here's your job for the next month, 20,000 bottles. I think that's amazing, all right? So the next thing that I think is very interesting is the information that was given to us here this year. If I go over here to fourrosesbourbon.com, I will see that we have just 3 recipes this year. And we have the ages of the whiskey in here between 12 and 25 years of age. 25 is the oldest whiskey that has ever been used. According to Malt Review, I just closed it. So according to Malt Review, Brent Elliott actually said the following. Can I find this again real quick? He said the following. I picked. Yeah, according to maltreview.com, Brent Elliott said the following. Once the ideal balance of 3 initial batches was achieved, so we have 40% of 14-year-old OESV, we have 35% of 12-year-old OESK, and we have 20% of 16-year-old OESV again. So if you don't know anything about the batches here, you always have an O, you always have an S, and then the second and the third letter, the fourth letter are always a little different. So you have OB. So let's do this correctly here. We have OBS and we have OES. OBS would be 35% rye, 60% corn, and 5% malted barley. And OESE would be 75% corn, 20% rye, and 5% malted barley. And then the interesting thing about Four Roses is you have 5 mash bills, 5 times 2, so you have a total of 10 different recipes. So V is the delicate fruit, K is the slight spice, O is the rich fruit, Q is the floral essence, and F is the herbal notes. And so what we have is here the OBSV. So we have delicate fruit. We have the OESV. Foul is German for V. We have delicate fruit again, and we have the K, which would be our slightly spiced. So the majority of this whiskey is the, let me make sure I'm saying this right here. The majority of this whiskey is going to be OE, and so OE is going to be the 20% rye. Now, to continue on with the quote here from Brent Elliott, he said here, I looked at several other batches of various ages and recipes to add an extra layer of nuance to the blend. And ultimately, I selected the 25-year-old OBSV, which makes up just 5%. But if you have 20,000 bottles out there, 5% are, not a small amount of casks. And the amazing thing is he has casks at the distillery that are 25-year-olds just waiting to be used for something. And so he selected the 25-year-old OBSV, which melds perfectly with the other batches and adds additional complexity and depth. All right, so here this went through 35 different combinations, blends, before the product was actually that we have now today agreed upon. I think it's just great that Four Roses tells us the mash bill, tells us the percentage of the different recipes, tells us the different yeast used, and even tells us they needed 35 different tries to get this. It's like a maker's mark 46, where we know 46 is the amount of times they tried before they finally got it right. What am I going to compare it to? I do not have a bottle left of the Four Roses 2022, but I do have here a sample. Now, the 2022 was different, and if I go back to the website here, I'll tell you why it's a little bit different. Now, officially, if you're going to put an age statement on a whiskey, you have to put in the youngest whiskey. So this is 12 years of age. There's 25-year-old whiskey in here, but it's 12 years is the youngest whiskey. In this, the youngest whiskey is 14 years. So very similar concept. We have 14, 14, 15, and then a little bit of the 20-year-old. The 2021 was basically 12 to 16-year-old. So we've gone up in the last 3 years a lot, from 16 to 25 years of age. So the 2020 was 12 to 19 years of age. The 2019 was 11, was basically youngest, with 21-year-old in there, which is amazing. So we have, so the 21-year-old is the OBSV, and the 25 is also the OBSV. If I read this correctly, I'm going to make sure here. OBSV. So basically the same bottles. All right, the same, the same casks that were used. I'm just going to put it out there. The same casks that were used here in the 2023 version were also used back in 2022. So is that right? No, 2019 they were used. They were 19 years old back in 2019, and now they could be almost the same age there. And the 2018, which was the 130th anniversary, is 10 to 16 years of age. So that's the youngest. And then we go back to the 2017, they had a different bottle size and a different bottle way of doing things. All right, so so far there have been 18 years of single barrels and the small batch version, if I have this correctly here. All right, so let's try these, let's compare these, and let's see what we have here. I did a blind test, and I'll talk about that in a second in my German video. I'm not going to do my English video as well. There was a lot of alcohol involved in it. But I put these two compared to 3 other whiskeys at the moment that I more or less like, because I think there are alternatives out there that are half the price. Okay, this is candied apples. This is Christmas spice. So you have the allspice, you have the cinnamon, you have the clove, and you have a little bit of a vanilla wood spice going on here. This is very, very nice, very, very interesting. It doesn't wow me, but I'm very intrigued. For me, the absolute pinnacle of what I'm willing to do is to buy one bottle, and then I try and go, oh, I need to hunt a second bottle. I always try to get one bottle. I've done that for the last 5 years or so. Very successfully, one bottle. Okay, 220 euros, 200 euros, 185 euros is a lot of money to spend on one bottle of whiskey. I always do a bottle share, I always do a video and so on. And I make a lot of people in Germany a little bit happy with what we have here, but this is not something that I will probably buy or hunt for a second bottle. All right, just a little bit too expensive out there. The 2022, there's a much more of a spice moment. There's a lot of wood going on in there. There's a little bit more of a dark complexity that this just doesn't have. This is lighter, this is brighter, this is candied. This is not. This is earthy, a little bit of fall herbal tones going on in here. There are very different whiskeys, and that makes me a very happy person. All right, let's taste and let's review and let's see what's going on in here. Cheers. Mm. 54.5. This has complexity. This has a wonderful finish. It does, for 54.0%, come in a tiny bit thin, but there's all this candied, wonderful apple moment going on in here. Showing how good my brain works. We have here the OESV. So the V is going to be here our delicate fruit, which I totally get. I'm going to get a tiny little bit of that spice. It is amazing how much the yeast affects the flavor of the whiskey, even after 12 or 14 or whatever years we have here. Wow. This is going to be a B+ whiskey, maybe even a B, A-. That is good stuff, I must admit. There are some years where I just love the Four Roses, and other years I'm I think the last 2 years I've been The 2022 was not my favorite. So let's go back here to the taste on the nose. They are very different. Wood, autumn depth, leaves. It's nice. It's good. There's a little bit tiny bitterness in there. Now, if I'd have to choose between the two of these, I'm definitely going to go for the 2023. I would say this is a solid B. This is going to be a B+, A-. We're up in the big boy leagues here. This is very nice. Would I be willing to pay 220 euros for this again? No. For me, this is a D for value for money. Now, originality. This is also an A. A-, but an A. Once a year, Four Roses throws out a limited edition. The world goes crazy. The world tries to find it. The world loves it. That's great. 15,000 bottles for the US, 5,000 bottles basically for the world. Thank you, Four Roses, for this. There used to be, I remember before 2017, there actually were some Four Roses single barrels. Now, what does a single barrel mean? 220 bottles. Hey, the world has moved on. Four Roses can't do that. But the fact that we have 25-year-old, at least 5% here, about 5% whiskey of 25 years of age in here, that does give a certain complexity, a certain depth without taking away from the delicate fruits spice that I have otherwise. Now, this is what am I saying with the D for value for money? If you're a collector, if you're a bourbon enthusiast that goes and hunts limited editions, yeah, go for it. But many of us don't just have the deep pockets to go out there and say, hey, I'm just going to splurge and put 200 and some euros or dollars on the table and get me a Four Roses limited edition here. This is a very special bottle. This is very good. And yet, when I did my blind tasting, this was number one. This one, by the way. This was number two, by the way. This was a Tila's list, which is just for Germany. This was number three. So we do see a certain trend here with 2022. Number four was our, oh yeah, here, it's not even there anymore. Was the Jack Daniel's barrel proof single barrel, and they weren't close, but they were close enough that it's just like, wait a second, I can get this for 80 euros. I can get this for 100 euros. I can get both of these for the price of that. And so the question is this twice as good? No. Is this really that much better? This is available. You can find this basically in most countries of the world, and I would highly, highly recommend this. This was the single barrel, but there's a lot of barrel selects out there from Maker's Mark, and they are very good. The loser of the day, I'm just going to take a bottle which is not the 2023 O2E, was Booker's. And I basically had to be placed here because it was just so much worse than all of these great products. Now, in my German videos, I'm not allowed to take my own products that I import over here to Germany together with my partner N10 Bourbons. I'm sure the Peerless single barrel would have beat it. I think a Driftless Glen single barrel would have beat it. I think even a New Riff single barrel could have been in the contending here and would have actually made for a wonderful, wonderful competition. But all these products are things that I import, and I have to be independent on my channel. Therefore, I did not use them. But if we go back here, the Four Roses 2023 limited edition 135th anniversary is a awesome bottle. And if you can find it, if your pockets are deep enough, and you want to buy it, my blessings you have all the way. Much better than last year, but it's more according to my profile, my taste. Now, my question of the day is, what limited editions are you presently hunting? What are you looking out for? What do you want? Of course, everyone wants the 13-year-old Elijah Craig barrel proof. If that's going to reach Europe's shores, I don't know. We're always 3 to 6 months behind what is in America. And so I was very pleasantly surprised that this came out basically in October. We now have the end of December, so 2 months later that hit the shores. So we'll have to see if we have the 50% tariffs or not starting on January 1st. I'm filming this in the middle of December, so who knows if they've happened or not. So if the smart companies would send the products over beforehand, and then they can put in the warehouses and then release it for the next couple of months until the politicians get this figured out. I just like 50% tariffs. I don't know about you. I don't like 25. I didn't like 25% tariffs, but the possibility of 50% tariffs on my U.S. whiskey is just heartbreaking. All right. The 135th anniversary limited edition small batch Four Roses seal of approval from WhiskyJason from Germany. Thank you very much. What are you hunting on limited editions? See you real soon. Bye-bye.